Welcome back to the Graham Stephan Show. So today we got a really interesting episode because Mike Majlak from the Logan Paul Impulsive podcast bought a $4.1 million house with an NFT. So as a real estate agent and real estate investor myself for over a decade, it's been like 14 years now, I'm a little skeptical of how he was able to do this, but want to give him a chance and watch the video, and then I will give you my own thoughts as someone who's been doing this for, a decently long time. So with that said, guys, if you appreciate the content, it would mean a lot to me if you subscribed, if you hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm, and once you do that, we could begin.
Boy, oh boy, do I have a story to tell you guys. Through all the absolute bullshit this world rocks us with, every week we look forward to an escape starting with one downright mystical phrase. All right, welcome back to the night shift, ladies and gentlemen. You're working late, so are we. It's time to clock in.
What did that have to do with anything? How is he comparing the Logan Paul Impulsive podcast to Will Smith issues new apology for slapping Chris Rock at Oscars? I just don't know the association. Like, yeah, we got all of this stuff going on in the world, but me... Yeah, I need to buy a house.
In March of 2022, I found myself in a bit of a predicament. Holy shit, I have nowhere to live, and even worse, neither does David the German videographer. But fortunately for me, and thanks to everybody watching this, I'd been able to save up a few pennies over the past few years, and it hit me. Holy shit, I'm going to buy a house.
I don't get why he doesn't rent. If you need a place to live, renting is, it's immediate. Like, you could find today a place to move into by the end of the day, as long as you have like a good credit score, which I would assume he has. So buying isn't the only option, but you know what? If you save the cash, yeah, he could buy.
Huge gains in home prices are simply pricing buyers out.
Home prices are soaring.
I cannot think of a worse time to buy a brand new house right now.
I mean, here's the thing. Long term, if Mike's gonna buy a place that he knows he's gonna keep for like 10, 15 years, it's not gonna make a huge difference. I mean, for him, he's buying a place to live in, so the value of the home in between now and the time he sells it, it's going to be in the future. It doesn't really matter. It's not like you looked at someone in like the 1970s and be like, ew, you bought real estate at the peak in 1973, and then it went down in 1977. It's like nobody does that. They all look and be like, wow, you bought real estate a long time ago. Bet you bought it pretty cheap. So long-term, generally, real estate trends upwards, and I don't think that's going to stop anytime soon, even though in the short term, we might see some softening. I wouldn't be surprised.
Besides, at least interest rates were still low.
Soaring interest rates are now making buying nearly impossible.
Motherfucker. Well, whatever.
It's kind of funny, because you're always like,
who's buying in this market? Who's buying right now? It's like,
well, Mike Majlak is. So don't you worry. There's always going to be a Mike Majlak out there to buy a house.
We looked at house after house after house after house. Some of the houses were fucking sick. Look at that. It's got like a nice little waterfall. There's like sunroom right next to the shower like that. Some of them had some issues. It's WD-40. You got it at Home Depot. Stop.
That's like the typical builder house. There's always something that they've kind of cut corners on. It looks like they've got, what is this, orange tape? Something hanging from that. It looks like this is a house that's still under construction.
I finally found one that had everything I'd ever dreamed of. This is a real fucking deal here, bro. This is actually dope. And so we put an aggressive offer in, and like a week later, I got a call back from my realtor.
I just spoke to the agent. They got so many offers, and your offer was accepted.
What?
It's a good feeling. It's a good feeling when you get the offer accepted because it's like, yep, I beat everyone else out. And then immediately after that, you have a feeling like, wait a second, did I pay too much now? And then the feeling of doubt. That's what always happens.
So I just got the inspection report back for the house. It's completely it's quite literally falling apart. The foundation is falling apart. There's rat feces.
Okay, so it says number 50. There's evidence of rodent vermin activity, unable to determine if active current. That's not like a big deal. I mean, chances are he's buying a property in the hills. There's a whole bunch of rats everywhere. To me, it just means you got to put better barriers underneath the house. Like, that's pretty much it. That could be a $300 job, $500. Not the end of the world on that.
Everything you could ever imagine. Insects. We're out. We're backing out. It's over.
Insects? I mean, welcome to just planet Earth. There's gonna be insects. I don't see what the big deal is. If you're buying a property in the hills, you're gonna get rodents, you're gonna get insects, ants are gonna go on the property, you're gonna get beetles and caterpillars. For me, I would say the only non-negotiable part is if the house is like falling off the cliff and is just unsound, unsafe to be, inhabitable. That's about it, because that could be expensive.
And dude, I looked at so many houses and got so frustrated with the process that I didn't even want to buy a house anymore. And so I decided instead of buying a house, I'm just going to buy a really, really expensive NFT. And you guys probably remember I dropped $715,000 on a Bored Ape.
Why would he do that? I just feel like that's a bad investment. I know it's easy to say now in hindsight. Bored Apes, by the way, have gone down to like 70 grand. Yeah, so Bored Apes have come down to like 86 ETH, so like, yeah, 75 grand for a Bored Ape. Now, I don't know what made Mike Majlak's different, but to me, he could have easily lost 50% on that, just like so fast. A house is not gonna see a 50% decline in a month. It's just not gonna happen. Like even in a worst real estate crash, you might lose like 20%. That was a bad decision, I think, to do NFT over buying a real estate property in Los Angeles. I mean, oh well.
I know.
That is so much fucking money.
And then literally like the next day, Michelle called me and she said there was this house.
I mean, here's the thing. Logan Paul could get away with that because he's got so much money. And for him, it's like, okay, spending 500 grand on an NFT, that's like the average person spending like $50 on something. It's like, oh yeah, even if it goes to zero, not that big of a deal. But I feel like maybe Mike Majlak is around so many people who just spend ridiculous amounts of money that for him, it's probably a higher percentage of his net worth than if Logan Paul were to do that. So he's playing in these big leagues that he just needs so much money to do that. Maybe he has the money. Like if he has, $20 million, $30 million, then I would say sure, go ahead and speculate 700 grand on an NFT. That's like 10% of his net worth. I think that would be highly irresponsible.
It was even better than the first one. And so I put in another aggressive offer, and a week later I got a call back that was filmed by this girl in a hotel room at F1 Miami.
Our offer has been accepted.
Wow. So now it's time to work, because we gotta go quick. And just like that, I was back in escrow, and all I had to do was make a down payment of $1.2 million in cash.
A big down payment. Okay, so let's see. So 4.1 million bucks. We're gonna do some math on this. He's putting 30% down on this house. So we're gonna do some backwards math here in terms of how much money Mike Majlak makes. And I know it sounds kind of like wizardry, but here's the thing. Most lenders in a price point like this would be able to get him approved for, 20% down, or maybe even 15% down, depending on his income. But the fact that he has to go in with 30% down means to me that he's maxed out what a lender is able to give him on a loan, and therefore he has to come up with more money to bridge that gap. Okay, so in a traditional sense, here's what you would do. You go to a mortgage calculator, you type in $2,870,000 on a 30-year fixed at an interest rate of, let's probably say 4.5 back then, you come to $14,500 a month. But then you also have property taxes. Now, on $4.1 million in Los Angeles, you're looking at another $5,000 a month in property tax. Yeah, I know it's ridiculous, but you know what? That's Los Angeles, so there you go. So now we're basically at $20,000 a month, and we're probably gonna tack on another, $1,000 a month for random stuff. So then we get to $21,000 a month is going to be his cost to own this property. But now lenders, on the other hand, wanna make sure that he's making enough money to be able to sustain these payments. And usually in a property like this, they wanna see that he's making about 3 times his monthly payment for housing. That means Mike Majlak has to be making about $65,000 a month to be able to afford this property. So let's just say $60,000 a month times 12, $720,000 a year. Now what I have a feeling is going on is that probably Mike Majlak makes way more than $720,000 a year. He probably makes $1.2 million a year. Let's just say $100,000 a month. But he's got expenses. So maybe he's writing off some of his production cost, his travel, things like this that bring his income down to $720,000 net. That's my guess. He's probably making about $1.1 million a year to be able to afford this property. And yeah, spending almost a year's worth of your income on NFTs after tax, probably not the smartest thing to do. But again, this is just my guess based on the price and his down payment.
So the deal went like this. I would lock my Bored Ape NFT into Arcade's protocol. They would then give me a loan of USD coin against it. I could then convert that USD coin into American dollars to help pay my down payment on my traditional mortgage. They would hold on to my NFT until I was able to repay the loan, and then I would get the ape back. This was perfect, and just like that, the problem was solved.
Oh man, that sounds, first of all, 2 things. We got a lot to unpack here. Number 1 is that sounds like it's an ad. Oh yeah, it says include pay promotion. So yes, so most likely they paid him for this. And maybe what they've done in this situation is to say, hey, we'll lend you the money on this at the full value of your Bored Ape, maybe minus 20% or something, if you just make a video about us. That's probably what they did. Or they said, hey, we'll give you 100 grand and we'll give you the money for free if you just make the video. There's something in here. We don't know how much money he made from this or what the structure was, but for sure he partnered with him to make this deal happen. Kind of a smart partnership because he's using the service. But here's the thing, it's like, what if he defaults on this? Let's just say they lend him the money and the Bored Ape is the collateral, but the Bored Ape becomes worthless. Let's just say it's now worth 100 grand. Can he just not pay them and then they take the ape? I mean, to me, it seems like a disaster waiting to happen. Not so much for Mike Majlak, but for the company itself. I don't see how that business model is sustainable at all, because they're basically taking collateral on an asset that could fluctuate in price 50%. I think it's a terrible business model. Just how do you sustain on that? I don't get it.
They were about to make the transfer when the unimaginable happened.
Bitcoin is down more than 50% from the high.
Investors getting jolted by volatility rippling through the crypto world.
Crypto, obviously, right now getting crushed.
Motherfucker, who is throwing all these curveballs? But because apes were such a strong project, I was still able to make the loan happen. And so I had the ape appraised at today's value and was able to pull a $200,000 USDC loan against it, which was enough to scrape together the $1.2 million down payment.
Oh, so he spent 700 grand and loaned 200,000 against it. I mean, it kind of makes sense they wouldn't want a loan on the full thing, and they needed a buffer just in case this Bored Ape declined and they lost money on the deal. It's still high risk.
You are now looking at the very first home of the night shift.
Gorgeous house. I really like it. Again, it's in the hills. Looks like a completely renovated property. I don't know if it's a new construction. It's probably a 50s property that was completely renovated, but looks really nice.
Love the white oak floors with this like brownish wood material. I don't know what it's called exactly. Sub-Zero refrigerator, obviously super top of the line, and then flows right into the living room. Obviously there's gonna be...
Man, it bothers me. He's walking in this nice house with shoes on. Just take your shoes off. I'm always a big fan. Just let's not bring the outside inside. Let's have a safe place inside.
A full walk-in closet, all your stuff.
That sounds like wood cracking, man.
Ooh, what happened there? That's a bad design. I hope he didn't close on the home yet so they can fix that.
Inside this glass box is a room that will become the LA headquarters for Impulsive. Backdrop, couches, camera people. Really cool glass doors. We could put one of those things that says like on air right here, so when people come by they know not to come in because we're shooting.
That's great. Oh, I like that. So now we could rent out the space or just use it for free or something like that. Or you could write it off. I like that. I think the whole house should just be turned into a big office.
And then you're back out into the main space. This is a fully climate controlled like wine closet or whatever it's called.
Never gonna use that space. Unfortunately, those just go to waste. It's visually cool looking, but practically, nothing.
I never thought I was gonna have anything, bro. Like I was 400 credit score, in debt, no money, nothing, no college education, and put my foot on the fucking gas, dude. And obviously a great network, and Logan and Lana and all these people that were there to help and support, but just put my fucking foot on the gas, bro, and worked every day.
That's good. That's good. I love the grind. I love the hustle, and I do like the dynamic between him and Logan and everybody on the podcast. I think it really lends itself to good conversation, and I'm a fan. I like it.
I know that even when I don't talk about it, you guys that know the story know the struggle that went into getting here, and I hope that continues to motivate you guys, encourage you guys to go out there and get it yourselves, and know that anything's possible.
All right, so not exactly buying a house with an NFT. He basically used $200,000 to buy the house, but you know, I get the point. Highly risky to put that much money in the NFT. I'd sell the NFT personally, just take the loss on it, get a write-off, and put more money towards the house. Be curious to see more about his loan. But beyond that, you know, great video. Congratulations, Mike. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.